Given it's the start of a new year, I thought many of you, like me, may have joined a new book club or even started a new book club. So I put together a list of books that I think would be great to read with book clubs. The reason I think these would be good for book clubs is because most of them contain moral quandaries, ethical debates, and really interesting scenarios and choices that characters have to make, and I think they would be really interesting to discuss as a group. Let's get into it. Hello Beautiful by Ann Napolitano is a sweeping, multi-generational family saga set in Chicago from the 60s onward to the 2000s. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey is a thriller slash romance slash suspense set on a very remote island with one of the only seed banks left in the world. The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau by Kristen Harmel, a contemporary and historical fiction set between current times and World War II. The Paris Daughter, also by Kristen Harmel, is a really interesting World War II historical fiction with a very intense plot twist and moral dilemma. Kate Quinn's book The Briar Club takes place in the McCarthy era in the 1950s in Washington, D.C. at an all-female boarding house. Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild is a contemporary fiction book about one family who experiences a tragedy. This one has a really interesting moral and ethical dilemma in it. Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall is a historical fiction set in rural England, and it's a really interesting family saga. Bittersweet by Hattie Williams is a contemporary fiction book about an illicit affair between a very young woman and a man who works with her who's much more powerful. The Women by Kristen Hanna is about female nurses in the Vietnam War and the backlash from the American public when Vietnam War vets returned home. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a historical fiction crossed with a contemporary fiction about a Hollywood actor and socialite in the 50s and 60s and what she had to do as a woman to succeed in Hollywood. On Isabella Street by Genevieve Graham is a historical fiction that takes place here in Toronto against the backdrop of the Vietnam War, and it debates the role that Canadians played in the war. Ellen Hilderbrand's book The Five-Star Weekend is a great contemporary fiction book set on the island of Nantucket, where one woman brings her best or closest friend from each era of her life together for one weekend. Sisters of Night and Fog by Erica Roebuck is an incredibly moving World War II historical fiction about two women who take very different paths to resistance against the Nazi regime in occupied France and the choices that they have to make in trying to survive the war. And lastly, Madeline Martin's book The Secret Book Society is a great historical fiction set in Victorian England about an all-women book club and how the book club was a vehicle to support one another. So those are my recommendations for book club reads. Let me know if I've missed any that you recommend.